Recording. Okay, excellent. Welcome. This is Fred Cohen from Angel to Exit, and we're doing a recording with Zale. Zale, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Zale Tabakman. I'm president of Local Grown Salads. I'm up here in Canada in the middle of January, so it's a little chilly, not as nice as Florida. Anyhow,
But on the other hand, you can still get a salad, right? Because you're growing indoors.
yes, you can get a salad because you're going indoors. And I run a company called Local Grown Salads. Local Grown Salads is an indoor vertical farming company that produces ready-to-eat salads. So when you think about ready-to-eat salads, think about the bag of salads. You open it, you dump it in, and you put a little bit of dressing on it, and you go to eat it. It happens to be the most highest value product in a retail store.
All right, enough advertising.
No, but I'm trying to describe why we're in that.
Oh, I know. People know, right? They get it. You save money on transportation. Half the cost of moving, fresh vegetables is transportation. You can do it locally, right? It's more water efficient. Everything, right? Better, faster, cheaper.
Yep. Oh my God, you got a picture up there. See, our very, very first set of technology. It's better, faster, cheaper, no pesticides, no fungicides, no herbicides.
Yeah, all that stuff. We know it's all good, but that's not what this discussion's about. And
Okay.
This discussion's about the journey that you're taking, because you're starting to get traction now.
Yes, big time.
And we love it when companies get traction. And I'm not going to subscribe to your emails now. I hate pop-ups. I just got to tell you. So let's start at the beginning. So I met you when you did a presentation for Go to Angel. Do you remember that? How long was that? About a year ago?
Probably a couple of years already.
So let's start out with, so before that, by the way, that picture that I had on the previous slide there, when I looked you up on Google, this is where it brought me to. So you might want to fix that so it takes you to something that looks a little bit newer. But obviously you started, we talk about starting in your garage. This doesn't look like a garage. This looks more like a living room.
It was actually in a food accelerator here in Toronto called Food Starter. But this was actually version 2 or 3 of where we were at. But yeah, that was just, you take a look, that's all wood. That's all the stuff there came from Home Depot.
There you go. And so just to be clear, the stuff you're doing now is better and fancier and nicer, but you can still do this from Home Depot if you wanted to, if you're a hobbyist, right?
Yeah, but I wouldn't recommend it.
and why wouldn't you recommend it?
There's a large amount of stuff going on. If I was to grow vegetables in my home, actually my daughter does, I would just buy some lights and some trays from Amazon and just do regular flatbed type stuff.
So vertical growth is a lot trickier, right?
Vertical, there's, let's back up 1 second. There, in the technical world of indoor vertical farming, there's 2 types of farmers. There's the horizontal or bunk bed type farmers, and that would be companies like Bowery and Aero Farms. And then there's another type of technology, which is vertical towers, which is what you were looking at. And there are 2 players, and that's Local Grown Salads and another company called Plenty. And the Plenty uses ZipGrow technology, and ZipGrow is in a whole bunch of companies uses ZipGrow stuff. For example, Freight Farms and a few other people. But essentially there's vertical and there's horizontal. The bunk bed is great when you want to do stuff in the home. You have a couple of trays, you can control everything and you're not doing a lot of stuff. It falls apart when you try to do massive scaling.
All right, when we say massive scaling, how massive are we talking about?
Well, my 15,000 square foot farm would produce between 500,000 and 1.5 million pounds. That's a couple million units of those salads a year.
Okay, there you go. So now I want to go back. So you presented at Go to Angel. And at the time you were looking for investment.
Yes.
And you were trying to grow, but at the time you didn't have any customers. And one of the things you're telling us now is now you're starting to get traction. So tell us about the traction.
Okay, so the traction is in a number of different ways. We have a lot of moving parts in our business. The scaling thing is really important because our customers are large. We don't make any sense for a small restaurant. Ultimately we want to go after the McDonald's, the Walmarts, Wakefern, Amazon. Those are the kinds of, they're not Amazon and Whole Foods. These are the kind of companies we want to do. Big companies that require lots of volume on a regular, consistent basis. So, so everything we do has got to be big and it's got to be planned big. So the traction we're getting is actually connected to something the United States has right now, which is called opportunity zones. It's where you can put capital gains away. You put them away for 5 years, and it gets reduced down to 90%. 7 years, it gets reduced to 85%. And any capital gains that are in there are also tax-free. So it's a big, huge capital gains thing. All your investors will know about what I'm talking about. Anyhow, opportunity zones are 8,700 of them across the United States. And what's created is a gold rush for using old buildings, and because you got to get your money in there this year, essentially, to get the best tax things.
Well, you mean this year 2019 or this year last year 2018?
2019. 2019.
So this is the year.
This is the best year. There's still advantages going forward, but to score in the big time, the tax-free thing means you got to hold it for 10 years. Anyways, but it's really designed around 2019 as being the tax year. You got to get your money in there.
All right, so this is the year, and you're primed to do that, right? Because you now have a repeatable process for making these things, right?
We have yeah. So what happens is opportunity zones are really old places. So we get shown buildings built in 1908, 1935, 1965, 1948. We're actually talking in Baltimore, a building that was built in the 1940s. Okay, so what happens is what the nature of these buildings is they're big, they're solid, but they got very low roofs, very low ceilings. And so they're pretty much useless to modern warehousing or anything else, but that's where they're designed for. My systems, by planning, are designed to fit in under 14-foot truss. So we can go into these old buildings and all of a sudden we're what they call shovel ready, meaning that we can put a farm into
no shovels involved, right?
Sorry?
No shovels involved.
No shovels involved. I hate the term shovel ready, but everybody understands.
Yeah, the point is you're good to go. You just have to install this stuff, and you start growing.
When we start growing,
aren't you worried about, the water damage to the building and all these things, or is everything hermetically sealed?
We're sealing everything. We create an envelope and we put air conditioning, and there's a lot of technical stuff around that.
Yeah, now there's a lot of these buildings are not very good for energy efficiency. So you put energy efficient stuff around it so that you're not, because Baltimore gets cold, right?
My problem is actually heat. I'm generating a lot of heat. Every one of my grow rooms is almost like a data center. We use LEDs for lights, and one LED isn't very hot, but when you put I'm going to watch my language, a large load of LEDs in one little tiny spot, you have a huge amount of heat to get rid of. So I'm never worried about heat. I'm always worried about how to get rid of heat. So
So in the summer when it's hot and humid, that's when you got to get the heat out.
I got to get the heat out in the middle of the winter too.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. No, I'm generating the heat.
So you're blowing it out with air flow or what?
Air conditioning. We put a whole ductless air conditioning system.
Right, so this has got to take a lot of power. So do you use solar, or how do you reduce the power?
Regular power. Our power consumption is large, but it's trivial compared to what it takes it's trivial compared to the volume and the profitability of the business.
So let's talk about profitability. When you say profitability, what's the investment and how much do you get back how soon?
Okay, so there's many different ways of structuring the investment, but let's just
give me the simple version.
The simple version, it takes about $2 million of CapEx to set up one farm, and the farm will generate, depending on if we're selling to Walmart or we're selling with our own brand or we're selling to a house brand, anywhere to 1.2 million EBITDA to 3 or 4 EBITDA. We sent Walmart's a special case because they're.
Wait a minute, don't forget the special case. So I put in $1 million, and I get back $1 million for the year.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You should get your money back within a year.
And then every year after theirs, I'm generating another $1 million, right?
That's the goal.
All right. You say that's the goal. So have you generated your first $1 million out of this yet?
No. We're moving from startup to setting up the first farm. There was something you said right at the beginning I need to circle back to. Remember I talked about that 50 cents? So we're selling a product in Baltimore, for example, or Washington, that sells for the same price as if it was shipped from California. And remember you mentioned the 50 cents?
50%, right? Yeah, shipping.
All of a sudden that 50%, I'll sell that product in Baltimore at the same price as something coming from California, except that I'm not paying shipping, it goes in my pocket.
That's right.
And I know you jumped over this stuff, but remember I said no pesticides, no herbicides? Guess what? I don't have to pay for my pesticides. I don't have to pay for my herbicides. So
they don't pay for it when they do organic growing in California either, because they don't use it. That's the point.
They use herbicides and they use pesticides. They have to. They just use organic herbicides and organic pesticides. Oh no, organic guys use pesticides, herbicides. They wouldn't have anything left if they didn't. You have to get rid of those. You'll have those insects coming and eating your food. You got to get rid of that. And herbicides are,
all right. So because you're doing this all in this sealed environment, you don't have any of those problems.
We don't have any of those things. But on the other side, our customers love it because all of a sudden we're not killing bees and we're not destroying lakes or anything else. So we get a win on the profitability. We sell it as if we were having all those costs because the market price for these products are that price. It's all about the money, right? It's always in the end of the money. But the story.
Well, it doesn't have to be. This, one of the things this does is if you can get enough volume of these, you can drop the price below where anybody can run it, and you can dominate the market.
100%. But the market is so massive, it would be almost impossible for anybody to dominate it.
You probably have to take all the buildings in Baltimore. On the other hand, they're mostly available, right?
There's a lot of space in Baltimore.
So wait a minute. Now you can do this in Baltimore. You can also do it in downtown San Francisco, or in fact, in any urban area where things are getting old. So St. Louis, for example, is a great place. There's a lot of buildings in St. Louis that are underutilized.
Yeah, so I want to speak to that. So we're launching in Chicago, Nashville, Washington, Baltimore, and we had a conversation with some guys in Boston this morning. And Toronto. Toronto doesn't have the opportunity zone advantage.
All right, I'll get to my question. So you said you're starting to get traction. How much traction are you getting? You don't have your first $1 million in yet?
No.
But you're talking about going to all these cities. So what's the game here? Within the next how many months? How many of these cities you figure you're going to have actual $1 million growth start?
We're looking March 1st to have everything up and running in these places.
And how many cities?
In Chicago, Toronto, Nashville, Baltimore, and Washington.
All right, so that's $5 million at least.
Well, okay, so every farm is $2 million, but we're not starting with a full farm. We're only starting with a $500,000. We're going to start with
$2.5 million. So you're going to have $2.5 million in already to be able to get this running in 3 months, right?
Yeah.
Fabulous. Okay. So you have investment. When you say traction, you don't have sales of the salads yet, but you have investment dollars in, so you can start, putting these things in buildings, and in 3 months you're going to be, running forward with, generating profit. In fact, probably, 6 to 9 months in, you'll have repaid that investment, right?
Right. What we're actually doing is we're also starting with customers. We're not opening up the farm until we can have enough customers who've given us letters of intent to cover off all the first farm. So
you'll have all the sales. So let me ask, what's the growth pattern here? So if this, it looks to me like you could actually be profitable to where every 6 months you could open another farm for each farm you have. So you could double every 6 months. Is that right?
You got it.
And that's without any more investment.
Right.
Okay, so hang on, wait a minute. Let's do the calculation, right? So 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, right? So it's a factor of 4 every year. That gives you a factor of 16 in 2 years. That gives you a factor of 64 in 3 years. So in 3 years, you should be 64 times $250,000, just with no more investment. And if you got $1 million in, you'd be at $64 million and doubling the next year.
Yeah, yeah. Let me fix a little bit of your calculations.
Oh, just give me the bottom line.
Cisco, for example, said if we can do what they want to do, they want us in 200 cities.
No, I understand. I'm just saying natural growth, you could get to that level.
Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah, okay. So with obviously artificial growth, if somebody puts in 20 million, they can get, 20 million turn in 6 months, and in a year they'll have 40 million, and like that.
You got it.
Top of this market, the total potential volume here is in the many billions, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So there's no, this sort of scaling growth can happen for quite some time. So when is your exit plan?
Well, we haven't really figured out an exit plan because I kind of like dividends. Dividends to me are like a really nice way of making money.
I understand, but no exit plan.
No exit plan yet.
All right, there we go. Perfect. All right. So,
well, I don't want to say no exit. I don't want to say no exit plan. I want to say.
I know what you mean. You don't have it figured out yet.
Yeah, we don't need to. We'll figure out what's.
Well, we don't have it figured out yet. When you say you don't need to, if you're going to get people to put money in, they need to get money out. So you're going to do it with dividends for now.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. All right. So fabulous. So now, last question. So you made the decision not to go with our advisory and support services, which many companies do, one way or the other. And I'm just sort of wondering, about the challenges that you faced and overcome along the way. And what your thoughts on, did you get any other advice from any other advisors, or are you're figuring this all out on your own?
We've got some advisors. We have some advisors that come and go. We're finding that advisors are not, I've had people come and go. We talk to a lot of people, and it's a lot of investors. We're reaching out to a whole bunch of people. And that's how we're kind of getting the advice. I don't figure out anything myself. I figure out as I'm going along, but I do it through other people. So for example, this whole opportunity zone stuff, we're talking to 2 or 3 of the big accounting firms, not the big accounting firms, the mid-sized accounting firms who are kind of dominating the opportunity zone space. So they're giving us lots of advice. They provide us lots of information. On the technology side, we always talk to suppliers. They'll tell us exactly how to do stuff, what the best way of doing it is. On the sales side, we talk to customers. We say, what the hell should we be doing? How do we do this? We know we could do this. What do you need? What do you want? And then we research back and go forward. And then we,
just let me know, when you say we, who are we?
Well, we seems to be changing over time, but right now, I'm located here in Toronto. I have this lady named Brenda who's been on board almost a year now, and she's out of Alexandria. I think I'm pronouncing it right, Washington D.C. She's a former JD. She is a JD, and she's got tremendous amounts of experience in business and in general, and so she's very, very good. And she's
all right. That's 2 of you. Who else?
We had a CPA on board for a while, but he came.
All right, so 2 of you, right?
Yeah, right now is the 2 of us plus all the extended world that we talk to. By the way,
when you have to go install something, you're hiring people to do that, but they're not employees, right?
Yeah, for sure. All the execution is in us, and we outsource as much as we possibly can. I do want to tell you that we take your advice. Your website has been incredibly helpful to us. So I want to tell you, we're getting your advice without having to give up any equity.
Yeah, well, you get the free part of the advice. Just imagine how good it would be if you had the for free part of the advice. But okay, fabulous. And we love the endorsements, obviously.
I will endorse you forever and ever.
Well, most of all, we love to see companies succeed. And, that's our goal, obviously, is to help grow companies, and you're there to help grow salads. So, yes. Hey, we're all for it. All right, I'm going to stop the recording, and then I'm going to try to convince you to start using our advisory services now.
Okay, go for it.
Thank you.